my low black glasses on and ride like this the whole flight, hoping one of them come with me so I got everybody on this mother.
Pac asked you was going to Vegas and the whole 9 yards, and he didn't say nothing to you, or he said some slick shit to you, or whatever, this, that, and the third. It wasn't all that love until Pac was dead.
To release my mind, that's something I really needed, you know what I'm saying? I had
You did release your mind.
I went to the water, I was in the sky, me and Tupac was like 30 feet in the air.
For decades, people have speculated about who was really behind Tupac redrum, but now, new evidence just hit the scene, and the streets are shook. And the name being thrown in the mix? Snoop Dogg. Jealousy, snitching, and shady backroom deals. It's all coming out, and the receipts are looking real suspect. Let's break it all down. For a minute now, people been side-eyeing Snoop when it comes to Tupac. Let's not act brand new. There were always whispers that Snoop was jealous of Pac, especially back in the death row days. Pac was at his peak, running the rap game, movies, and the streets all at once. Meanwhile, Snoop, he was still that dude, but Pac had the energy that made people move. But that's not even the craziest part. Snoop been hit with snitch allegations for years. You'll remember back when he caught that redrum charge in the 90s. The case was looking bad for him, but next thing you know, he took a plea, called it self-defense, and walked free. Now, I ain't saying he cut a deal, but how did everybody else on death row either end up dead or locked up, and Snoop the only one still out here thriving? Even Suge Knight, the biggest boss of them all, once said straight up that he didn't trust Snoop. And if Suge, the man who knew all the dirt, felt that way?
We going to New York. It's the MTV Awards. And, you know, I believe in doing everything big. At that point, once Tupac became to be a part of death row.
Then there's the whole Trump situation. Let's be real. Snoop has been calling people out since 2017 for performing for Trump, saying he was going to troll anyone who did it. Fast forward to 2025, he was front and center at the Trump ball, performing like it was just another Friday night. That's some grade A sellout energy right there. And if he can flip like that for some cash, what else could he do?
Roast the out one of you Uncle Tom ass for doing it. Which one of you gonna do it first? Oz is the one that performs for himself.
So that is Snoop Dogg back in 2017 before Trump's first inauguration. Here's Snoop last night.
Snoop and Pac used to push that whole "we brothers for life" narrative, but was it really like that behind closed doors? Because the street's been whispering for years that their so-called bond wasn't as solid as they made it seem. First off, let's not forget how weird Snoop was acting after Pac died. One minute he was claiming Pac was his boy, his brother, but then, next thing you know, he was out here talking slick in interviews, switching up his story. It's like he wanted to play both sides, keeping Suge and Death Row happy, but also making sure he didn't rock the boat too much.
Pac right here, a couple other right here. I'm like, what's up, Pac? And they do me like this.
And then there's that flight story. Now, this is where things get real shady. Pac and Snoop were on a plane together, and allegedly, Snoop was so shook he had to sleep with a knife in his hand. That don't sound like no real friendship. That sound like somebody who knew they weren't really cool like that.
So I walked to the back of the plane, give me a blanket, grab me a knife and a fork.
If you look at the little things Snoop been saying over the years, it's like he been trying to rewrite history. One minute he's saying him and Pac were close, next minute he acting like he was keeping his distance, like he saw Pac's downfall coming. Snoop was out here talking about how he could work with Diddy and Biggie while still repping Death Row. Yeah, that ain't sit right with a lot of people, especially considering Pac was at war with them. We already know Diddy's name been linked to Pac's passing, and if Snoop was cozying up to both sides, it's not hard to see how he might have been adding fuel to the fire.
I said I want to do a song with them niggas. That's how I ended. I said I ain't got no issues with Puffy and Biggie in New York on Hot 97.
What the f*** you say that?
Because that's how I felt. They tried to get me.
One of the most
interesting things to come out of that motion to dismiss, though, is just how many times Davis talked about Sean Diddy Combs over.
But let's be real, this ain't the first time Snoop been accused of playing both sides. This man got a history of knowing when to switch up to stay good with everybody. Look at what happened with Eazy-E. Snoop used to talk about how much he respected Eazy growing up, but as soon as he got with Dre and Death Row, he flipped real quick when it benefited him.
Nas in the park, and him and Nas had words, but Nas didn't want none. But Nas had 100 niggas with guns.
Same thing with the East Coast versus West Coast drama. 1 minute, he was riding with Death Row and the whole F bad boy movement, but then next thing you know, he's out here shaking hands with Nas and saying he respects Biggie. Now, let's talk about this Nas and Tupac almost had a gunfight story. Snoop made it sound like it was about to go down in New York, like dudes was about to start shooting in broad daylight. Turns out, that was cap.
Snoop told the story a few times, but he had it wrong a little bit. He had said that Pac stepped to me.
People who were there said nothing even happened like that. Pac and Nas actually had a talk and there was no wild showdown. So why was Snoop out here selling this crazy story? Was he just trying to make himself look like the guy in the middle of everything? At this point, it's looking real funny in the light. Snoop got a long track record of playing both sides, keeping himself safe while others get caught up. And with all these whispers about him snitching and making backdoor deals, you gotta wonder, was he really Pac's homie or was he just making sure he stayed in good graces with everybody?
And the situation didn't go down nothing the way Snoop said it. You know, Pac wasn't cursing out Nas. We gonna keep it 100. You know what I mean? Pac wasn't disrespecting Nas at all.
From the jump, Eazy didn't trust Snoop's street cred and straight up called him out as a studio gangster. Like, Snoop was smooth with his flow and all, but Eazy saw right through the image. He felt like Snoop was playing a role instead of really living the life he rapped about.
And we was on them head. We had What Would You Do? We had Dre Day. We had all kind of shit. We was busting them upside the head, but when they dropped that motherfucker, we felt that one.
That shit was hard.
And as Snoop kept blowing up under Death Row, that tension only got worse. Eazy wasn't trying to see Snoop as the face of West Coast rap, especially when he felt like the dude wasn't really about that life. Eazy-E made it very clear how he felt. This all kicked off back in 1992 when Dr. Dre dropped Dre Day. And listen, they did not hold back. Dre and Snoop didn't just throw some light shade, they went in on Eazy, turning him into a whole clown in the music video. They made him look washed up and desperate, like he was just some hustler who fell off. It was straight up disrespectful, but Eazy wasn't about to let that slide. Oh no, he clapped back with real one of the most iconic diss tracks ever. He exposed Dre for ditching his gangster roots and accused him of selling out to live that luxury death row life. And of course, he dragged Snoop right along with him.
I know that. I mean, that nigga Eazy was on my head.
Yo, when that shit started though with the Compton.
That shit's so hard.
He wanted the world to know that he wasn't the fake one Snoop and Dre were. And to this day, people still debate who was really real in this situation. See, some people believe Snoop was more connected than active. Like, yeah, he knew the right people, but was he really out here putting in work? Or did Soog and Death Row just amplify his image to fit the whole gangster rap aesthetic? And then we got stories like this one from actor Michael Jai White, which kind of makes you wonder. He once told a story about a studio fight between Snoop's crew and another group. But get this, it wasn't guns, fists, or security that broke it up. It was two pit bulls.
Because there was these big bodyguard type of dudes that was, what you want to do, what you do? And I was like, what?
It's a funny story, but also kind of exposes how some of these tough guy personas weren't always what they seemed.
And then Snoop's guys was coming back, and I thought they was coming back with guns, and they had like two pit bulls. And I'm like, get him, Sparky. I was like, this is some dumb right here.
For years, Snoop repped Long Beach and the Crips like it was second nature. But rumors started flying that Snoop wasn't as welcome in his own hood as he made it seem. Word on the street was that Snoop pulled up to Long Beach for some public appearance, but the Crips weren't rocking with him. Allegedly, they felt like he had gotten too big and wasn't looking out for them the way they expected. And instead of rolling up solo like a real one, he came through with heavy security. That did not sit right with the OGs. They straight up told him to leave.
All you niggas talking that shit about Snoop can't come to the hood, he can't do this. I can do whatever I like when I like.
Now, if your whole identity is tied to the Crips and Long Beach getting kicked out, that's a big deal. It had people questioning, was Snoop really about that life, or was he just using it for credibility? Snoop, of course, wasn't having it. He clapped back, saying he had been doing things for the community, pointing to his youth football league and charity work. But despite his defense, the tension in Long Beach was loud and clear. And for someone who built his whole image on West Coast loyalty, this was a major stain on his reputation.
You mad at me, cuz I won't help you no more? Cuz I can't do nothing to help you no more? Cuz I'm focused on helping out the kids and putting football programs and doing positive things in the hood?
According to Snoop, Pac was in serious danger behind bars, and it was only because of him that Suga swooped in and saved the day. Sounds like a hero moment, right? Except Napoleon from Tupac's Outlaws crew is calling straight up cap on this entire story.
You know, Corrupt, my man, I like him, but that's a false narrative that I think Snoop was pushing. You know what I mean? Pac, for a fact, he wasn't really. He had a lot of, like, he used to send us pictures, and his pictures on the internet where he was taking pictures with New York dudes up in Clinton, like, these are the homies.
According to Napoleon, Pac was actually doing just fine in prison. He wasn't in any kind of life-threatening situation, like Snoop made it seem. In fact, Pac was living like a legend in there, taking pictures with people, making friends, and definitely not the helpless inmate Snoop described.
He was holding it down, like, he was in prison. People were showing him a lot of love. You see him taking pictures with other homies who've been in prison. They got homies in prison. They were showing him love, you know what I mean? But nobody want to be in prison.
And here's where it gets even messier. Napoleon says that when they visited Pac, he never mentioned being scared or needing help. Of course, he wanted out. Who wouldn't? But this whole narrative of Snoop pulling strings to save him, straight up fantasy.
So he had people in Clinton that was with him. So this is a false narrative. I guess people, they like to say that so then they can vouch for some other rumors that's being spread about Pac.
And now rumors are swirling that the feds actually have evidence linking Snoop to a hit on Tupac. And guess where it's coming from? Keith D, allegedly. Keith D, who's currently being held without bail, has been out here spilling names left and right. And one of the people he allegedly threw under the bus? None other than Snoop Dogg. If this is true, this could change everything we thought we knew about Pac's redrum.
They used something in the bosses. They just used something in the bosses. From 1996.
So what's the truth? Was Snoop really moving like that behind the scenes? And if Keith D is snitching to save himself, is this just another desperate attempt to take someone else down with him? I need y'all to sound off in the comments. And while you're at it, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next update. Because trust me, this story is far from over.